guys, I got a surprise guest for you. Mr. Hot the Trot from the dive bar decided to go diving down to the little guy's house over here. We're going to have a nice talk. You know, he gets the players on. I was telling him he's been doing this for 2 months. He's got Dan Marino on the way, and he's got Tyreek Hill, and I've been doing this for years. I barely get anybody's grandmother. So here you go. You got Bobby Shouse. I just learned how to say his name. He's German, so I like him a lot. Shouse. Shouse coming on. Awesome guy. I don't think guys really understand. You see these people, and they had fun on their little chat, the YouTube channel. I met this guy for, 2 or 3 days ago, and he's like, "Oh, let me come on." I'm like, I figured, like a month or something. He's on right away. This guy is a real personable, awesome dude. And if you're not paying attention to Dive Bar, you should. I think, I was telling him it offers a great opportunity. You get to see 3 guys, big Twitter guys with real context. I heard a quote from him. I'm going to quote him. He says, "We're not here to sell clicks. When we get information, we give it. And sometimes you might be wrong because that's the way of handing out the little details in the back. But we're out to be legit, and we're not here to pull any chains." And it's a great thing. And they got the players on. So if you haven't subscribed to the Dive Bar, you're not checking them out, you should. Bobby, what's the deal? What's going on? What are you all about? Tell us your little tale.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's hard to match that intro. We do the Dive Bar. Me, Ghost of Adam Gase, and Joe Robbie. We couple buddies. Ghost is up in PA. Joe is in South Florida, and I live in South Louisiana, originally from North Carolina. But we just got together. We like talking ball, and we're always talking, and we're like, man, we should do something with that and start a podcast. So we started the Dive Bar. Little did we know it was going to become the phenomenon, in such an overnight fashion. But we got lucky.
Just rub it in. Just keep rubbing. Just rub that sucker in, man.
I truly am grateful, and I really am blown away every day when I talk to another player, or we even can do another show. Even we had Dudley Durong on last night.
Yeah,
and for me that was so cool. Sitting here with you is cool for me because, like I said, I told you I've watched your stuff for over a year, so like this is also cool for me. Like the biggest thing I want people to understand is we're fans, so like this is just cool to us. Like we're just glad to be here. And like when you said like I got back with you quick and I wanted to come on immediately, it's because the players, I've realized that like. It's such an honor for somebody to take the time and just reply to you, let alone make time to do an hour of a sit down with you. So like when somebody wants it from me, like more than glad, because I know that our Dive Bar isn't possible if other people don't do that for us. So no problem at all, man. Like I said, I got great respect for you. So this is awesome. 2 Germans.
Just to let everyone know, I paid him $15 for that plug. He's never watched me before in his life, but it's worth $15, right? The thing is, the thing when I was a kid, it was community, like I lived in New York, so you'd finally find a Dolphins fan. It was like, oh, a fellow Dolphins fan. That's what I get from you guys in the Dive Bar. And that's what I appreciate most from like the good Dolphins fans. We treat each other almost like a family. It's kind of lame and cliche. But when people do that, man, it really does make this thing feel worthwhile. It's a little different than a regular gig. You know what I mean? It makes it cool. And I get that from you. I really do. I watch you guys. I've only been paying attention for a couple of days because I heard Dive Bar was like the big name. But I never did the Twitter thing. So I didn't know anything about you. I kind of knew Ghost Adam Gase because those tweets, they're pretty big. Knew about Joe Robbie. But now I'm doing the Twit X thing, and I'm like knowing all about you guys. But after binging over the last couple of days, your channel, I get a genuine. I think that's the important thing. I think for anything is genuine. So I really think you guys are doing a great job, and can maybe spare some of those players to us lesser, one of these days, Mister. Anyway, so how long you been a fan? How old are you? You are 32?
32.
I got it. Huh?
32.
Nice. Wikipedia pays off. So how'd you become a fan, being Louisiana, and where, what was that moment? I always want to know the moment when someone becomes a Dolphins fan.
I don't know if I have a moment. It's kind of funny, actually. So I was born and raised in North Carolina. My dad was a huge Dolphins fan, Dan Marino fan. But it's kind of funny. I was raised in a small town, King, North Carolina, 1,200 population. We had a Pop Warner football team, and they were the King Dolphins. And they had the exact replica uniforms, everything. Like, looked like the Miami Dolphins. And that's cool. Who I played for the first 6 years of my football career. So honestly, I was kind of force-fed Dolphins, and I didn't know anything else existed. So that's all I was ever going to know. Unfortunately, it's kind of been a curse, but we're hanging in there.
Oh, don't I know, buddy? Oh, don't I know? I had a choice. My two cousins, one liked the Dallas Cowboys and one liked the Dolphins. I could have had a real nice 90s.
Well, in the 90s, that was an awesome, parlay.
No, this was 1978. I'm an old guy. I'm 52.
Even better. So back then, that was an awesome selection.
Oh, yeah. But I went with the Dolphins because my one cousin would spit in my face and hated me, and he was the Cowboy fan. And the other one liked me, and he was a super cool guy. He liked the Dolphins, so I went with that route. I will pay off in the end. It's a back-end payoff.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, too.
All right, so here we are. You and I, we didn't get the golden years. I get talk to fans all the time. They've been in the early 70s. They live La Vida Loca. We're living off that La Vida Loca time. What do you see with the Dolphins now, right now? This regime, this direction, this season?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just how complete the whole, from top to bottom, the franchise to the players. We always had, in the early 2000s, we had a defense, but we didn't have an offense. Now I feel like for the first time ever, we have a little bit of everything. We have talent on the offensive side, the defensive side. We got playmakers. We got a genius head coach. We got a young, big smile defensive coordinators that the players are loving. It just seems like an owner that has an endless checkbook. It seems I need to get on his payroll.
Don't we all?
So it just seems like, and I know it hasn't paid off yet, and we're Dolphin fans and knock on wood, but it does seem like it's at some point this has got to be it, right? How much more could go right? I mean, we got to be as close as we've ever been. This is definitely, I'd say it's definitely the most talented roster I've seen.
Yeah, I would say that 92 team was a more complete team. I would say, I would. It's hard to remember because I was a little young then. My brain wasn't working, but I remember that team being a little bit more well established. The early 2000 team had unbelievable defense. Everything was great except for the quarterback. And, now you got two who, I'm not going to say he's a 10 out of 10. Listen, guys, my wife was told I'm recording, so she said she has to go shopping, so there'll be a little dog extravaganza. There's nothing I could do when a wife's in charge, so I apologize.
Season 2.
Wife. Anyway, to me, it's you got the quarterback. I think too is at his floor is an 8. I think he can get to about a 9 in some season, maybe 9.5 if everything goes right. You've got, I mean, when you add Jonnu, Hill, Waddle, Achane, and maybe OBJ, it's unbelievable skills position group. Most impactful. You count up the amount of leverage each guy got last year. It's totally insane. And I think the defense is really, really solid. But if you know me, offensive line makes me afraid. Most of the offensive line has me afraid. I don't know. That's the only thing that has me saying, I'm going to be still my beating heart. That's the only thing. I think if this offensive line produces even an average level, I think we'd be phenomenal. But what do you think about my concern, Doc? Do you think I should take medication? Am I insane or what?
Well, I don't know if there's any medication for it, apparently, because they're not talking about it for sure. We talk about that all the time. It's kind of for a while there, we've always had bad O-lines, and that was just to be expected. Yeah. Now it's you look at a team, they had they've put so many resources into it. They've built it and loaded so many positions, but they just ignore the O-line. It's it's down there.
So you see that too. You think they were almost ignoring it's the redheaded stepchild or something.
Well, so the 49er way is apparently you don't need the elite players. You just make sure all 5 are above that floor level, and you can, with this scheme, you can compete with that. And it's hard to argue because we put the number one offense in football in there. My issue comes with that works in September, October, November.
Yeah.
When you're in Kansas City and -20 in January and you got to run the ball, you got to be physical. You can't hide from that. You can't hide behind Liam Eichenberg. You can't. So like,
you have to get really low because he's usually on the ground a lot. So you got to get down on your knees. Sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm going to get yelled at by somebody. I'm being
you're right.
I apologize.
It's crazy how every day there's a new picture of that guy laying on the ground.
I apologize.
It's quite the development.
Anyway. So I don't want to be, I'm usually called the Debbie Downer, so I don't want to get into that. If we can get some home field games in postseason, then I think anything is possible. You know, it's just, we've got to win enough games. And I think that this offensive line, when you got Tehran, if you can get Wynn in there, Brewer, Robert Jones should be the right guard, and Jackson with these skills, I think there's opportunity. I'm not hot to trot because I'm concerned about the run inside, but I do see how the potential is there. And the hard part is if we get just some luck, anything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing is like we rolled into the playoffs last year. We fumbled the AFC East. We had 20 players on IR. We just kind of like stumbled into KC and got murdered, honestly. And the good thing that encourages me, we've had a few guys on the show that's talked about this specifically, is the players are aware of it. They don't make excuses. They know that they dropped the ball. They don't blame injuries. They don't blame cold weather. They know they should have never been in KC. They should have never lost to Tennessee. They should have never lost to Buffalo. They are aware of it. It's in the locker room. It's very aware. So like that makes me feel good. They know they need to handle business. They know they need to be in South Florida come January. And I agree. If you're in South Florida come January with a little bit of luck, who knows where you fumble and fall and you might land in the AFC Championship. So like it's that simple, really.
I saw you guys do a little tale about the Titans game, how some of you guys left just before. Like I did the same thing too. Tell me the little tale again. It's so funny how many Dolphin fans experience that same torturous moment to like think it's all in the bag and then get the rug pulled out from under them.
Yeah, so this is Joe, Robbie, and Ghost, their story, their experience, but I can tell you the story. It's funny. They're at the Tennessee game last year. It's 14-14 forever. You know, make a couple big plays. We score real quick. Yeah. 28-14 like that. There's like 3 minutes to go in the game, and they're like, let's beat traffic. Let's get the hell out of here. We avoided it. Let's go have a good night in South Florida. And they get in the truck, and somebody's watching the game, and they get an alert, and they're like, guys, what the hell? So they're all watching it from the truck in the parking lot, and the Dolphins end up losing, as we know. And they're all just sitting in the truck, riding home. They went from let's go party in South Florida to just silent in a truck. And God bless her heart, but Joe Robbie's wife decided she wanted to play some dubstep music. And Joe went off. He's like, honey, I love you to death. Now is not the time. Let us wallow in our self-pity, please.
It's so that was one of the biggest upsets that I can remember as a Dolphins fan. I don't know if it is. I'd have to like go back and think about it, but it was so shocking because I didn't find out till the next day because I had lost electric and I was watching it like on YouTube and a guy like telling me what was going on. And I was so tired of getting the electric going in and out. We had a big storm here. I was like, we're ahead. I forgot what it was. We put all those points on. I'm like, all right, we won. I'm going to bed. It's like only 2 minutes left. I didn't find out the next day. My wife's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like,
exactly.
We got to take that one this year. We got to beat the Titans. We definitely got to beat the Titans.
Oh, that's definitely part of the revenge tour, the Titans game for sure.
All right. So I want you to wax poetically on one of the key pieces of the Dolphins 2024 season, and that's Storm Duck. Tell me about Storm Duck. Tell me how awesome he is, how he's going to get on your podcast. You're going to tell him I'm his number one fan. And what do you think about him? Do you really think we're going to get Storm Duck as a 53?
It's tough. You know, that DB room is loaded. Like with UDFAs in that bracket is loaded. So like it's tough. You know, you got a few of those guys really standing out, and it's going to be, you know, what are they looking for in that last guy? Or, you know, even if they take one. So Storm Duck's good, though. He's
Say that name
really
again.
Good.
Say that name again.
Storm Duck is good.
Oh, it sounds good with that Southern accent, brother.
And even though he didn't stay there, he was a Tar Heel for a minute. So he played at UNC. He was a Tar Heel. You know, he had to do what he had to do and transfer, and that's fine. But look, Storm Duck, for the name alone, I hope he makes it. You know, that'd be awesome.
You ain't kidding. Now, do you think Cam is going to hit? He's going to be put on like the IR or something. You think he's going to hit the 53 hamstring?
Yeah, that's a good question. He's got a lot of unfortunate timing. Really, it's like every time he starts showing those flashes again, it's something. It's a little nagging injury or something. I don't know. That's a good question. I really think about that. They could definitely
get a Storm Duck.
Yeah, there could be a stormer brewing for that.
Keep going.
Yeah, they could, use that in a way to have a tryout for one of these guys. Like, say you don't really have room for a Storm Duck or, one of those guys. And then, you look at Cam Smith's situation, and you go, hey, we can stash him for half the year. Let one of these guys get that time, make sure, we can protect ourselves and keep them for that long at least. And that could be a way they get creative this time of year. They see a lot of things you didn't expect to come, just from a business standpoint.
You got 2 weeks before the season. Hamstrings are notoriously that's a difficult thing. I kind of think he's gonna get stashed. I really do think. I'm just praying, so I could be totally delusional at this stage. But I think Storm Duck makes it. I really do. I think Bonner is going to make it. I think Storm Duck I'm hoping is going to make it. I think Cam is going to get a little stash, and I think that's a good point you made. A little tryout. Hey, you know what? We see this guy. There's a couple guys that are floating in that back end. And you know what? I'm not the biggest Greer fan, but he's put together a lot of pieces out of those UDFAs to fill that secondary. And that's expensive and hard to find. So
yeah,
you got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, he's kind of if there's one thing, he can't build an O-line, but man, he's a mad scientist with UDFA cornerbacks and safeties. Even
Pelia, he's another guy that's a big piece if you get him to stick as a DT interior lineman.
Yeah, Pilly. Yep. Somebody's got to step up there. That's another thing I'm really interested in. And it's kind of been odd because we haven't seen a lot of those guys. Like Benito Jones hasn't played his first rep yet.
No.
He's kind of chilling. I'm hoping they just got him on ice and they just plan on that being their nose tackle. But that's interesting because, we haven't seen that. So that was one of the biggest headlines I was looking forward to is the defensive tackle rotation and who was going to step up. And some guys have flashed for sure, but I don't think we're any closer to an answer there, really.
I like that, man. That was so pro right there. I don't think we're any closer to an answer, man. It was like right out of the telecast, dude. Yeah, I agree, man. I got to steal that one and write that one down.
I'm getting better at this.
Yeah, you are, dude. You're nailing it. Well, you're German. You're always going to do everything great, German people are the best. I'm not German, but, Anyway, so okay, we got injuries. Every year we get injuries. Do you think that it's just bad luck? Do you think it's just the weather conditions? Because it's a clear issue, man. I mean, I'm not saying everything was banked on that from last year, but look at all the injuries we got right now, man. It's like we're heading it's all naggy stuff. But that could be a big deal for us.
Yeah, that's the biggest deal for us. Honestly, if you can tell me that we're going to be healthy come January, then I like us versus anybody. But you can't tell me that, and I can't tell you that. I'm really starting to believe the hype on the stadium was built on an Indian burial ground or whatever. Because man,
I know, dude, right?
It's getting old. I don't know what it is. The players say the training staff is top notch. Like Dolphin fans love to run to Twitter. You'll learn this now that you're on there, and blame the training staff. How do we have a CVS receipt for an IR again? The training staff, how is no one fired? But the players, they get on all the time, and we ask them, and they love the training staff. They think the training staff is above and beyond. So it's not that. I mean, maybe just, the wear and tear of a South Florida training camp and a season, it just takes a toll on you. I mean, you see what it does to teams for one day a year.
I know. Remember the Bills last year? Was it last year or the year before? Week 2?
2 years. 2 years
2
ago.
years ago. Oh, man, those guys were crying. That was like hell on earth. I felt bad for them. All I could hear is the sound of eggs boiling, cooking in a frying pan, man.
Yeah, that's tough. But, I mean, hey, that's it. We got to go to Buffalo in January. Then, hey, fair is fair. Football is football.
Oh, yeah. I think they purposely did that where they didn't put us so late in Buffalo, and then it kind of hid them out of the sun. I think there was a little bit of complaints going on either way,
Oh yeah, that was a backdoor handshake for sure. It's like, we're not gonna make any of y'all suffer. There's gonna be no complaining this year. We'll give y'all nighttime in Miami, and we'll let y'all get in Buffalo before it gets too cold.
Now, that's the thing too. You were talking about Benito Jones and the DT group. If you look at what we like to run on defense, we run small boxes, light defenses, pass heavy defenses, down 1 to down 3. And the ability to stop the run is going to be critical. And to me, week 2, I'm actually going. I told you I'm going to the game, man. I'm so excited. I just keep telling people I'm going to the game. I can't believe it. That is going to be big for us because if you want the division, you got to take that game. And my concern is, health and all this also got to say. But I think this Bills team is going to be way more consistent, way more physical. They're going to take the ball out of Allen's hands more and pound that football. Leo Collins is looking pretty good over there at the guard position. And so we got to get that interior DT spot settled from week 2, week 3 a little bit, and then week 4 definitely against the Titans, but definitely that week 2. It's going to be huge. I like our edges. And speaking of edges, do you think Phillips is going to be playing week 1?
I mean, I think so. He might not be, Jalen Phillips, but to bring him off the pup that soon, I mean, he's going to have plenty of chance. He's not like practicing one day, sitting 2 days. Like, he's practicing every day, going 100%.
He's a great guy, man.
Oh, he's so cool, man. Jalen Phillips is awesome.
He's a real good guy, He's
nice easy to root for, and he's a freak of nature. So if anybody was going to come back from this like he did, it would be him. He's built like a Greek god. I
know, like a dog. Yeah, I'm 5'8" and no hair, and he's Mr. like 6'6" with the flowing locks. Man, I didn't hit Lotto on that one. He did.
Yeah. So, I like our edge room. I like the idea of, like, even if he's not a 3-down guy right out the gate, Chop Robinson being on the field and being able to chase Josh Allen helps. I also think just in general, the defense will improve a lot with upgraded linebacker room. I really like Jordan Brooks. I think he's a big addition. I think he's going to change a lot of things. I like how they're using him, being aggressive,
heavy blitzing, man.
The defense has been wild. It's just like all out. The front 6 guys are going, and then the secondary better be ready, which I like our secondary this year too. So I think that could work.
Oh, dude, I really like, you got Fuller, you got Ramsey. I mean, both those guys are good. Fuller, he had some issues, but there's a lot that goes into that. And then you put behind him, you got Poyer, you got Holland, and then you throw in Kohu, Bonner, Storm Duck, and I think you have the tools. And I think, unfortunately, next year we're going to have loads of picks. And to me, the offensive line, maybe the DT spot's a thing, but we should produce this season. What do you think the floor is? A lot of people talk ceiling, and I think that ceiling's very hard to get because anything can happen. Somebody who's a quarterback could slip in a shower on a bar of soap and be out the key week. You don't know. I mean, football is so mercurial. You never know. I mean, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers could go down week 1, and all of a sudden you're like gravy training it to the post. Anything can happen. Mm-hmm. But the floor, what do you think the lowest that we could achieve and still say, hey, man, we're on the right track? What's that place, you think?
The lowest we can achieve and be on the right track still. That's a good way to put it because that changes things. That's not just the floor. That's like we're still happy, but we.
Yeah.
Okay. So we actually did our schedule prediction last night. I'm not going to tell you everybody's because some people are a little crazy, but I ended up with 12-5. That's where I looked at it as 12-5, but this is the NFL. I think there's going to be a curveball, like maybe at Indy or something where you're coming off the bye. You kind of got your guard down, you show up flat, and you lose a game you shouldn't have. I think 11-6 because 11-6 is the only way you win the AFC East probably. So 11-6, if we wouldn't have lost to Buffalo, we're 11-6. We win the AFC East last year. I think 11-6 has to be where we end up, and we have to win the division finally.
You think so? For me, I would have a little bit of different one. I don't care about the win total. I want at least a postseason win. So for me, I don't even care if we win a division. I want to know that we had the guts, because the only way we're going to get in is we're going to take that final end of the schedule We're going to man up in very hard conditions on the road, tough circumstances. And then that means we would be in the postseason, and then we get a game and we win. And then next year you get a bunch of picks. They could maybe, since you're so hot to trot and Mr. Up and Coming and a phenomenon, you can get Chris Greer to use some of those picks on offensive line. And then, you could take it to that next level. To me, I don't know if we're going to win the division. I don't know if 12. I think 10 or 11 wins could win the division if Aaron Rodgers doesn't drop, like a hot potato, because these teams are going to be knocking each other off. If you think about it, I think it could be pulling all these teams. So I think 10 or 11 wins. And even if we got a wild card game, and to me, I would actually put more value in a wild card win than getting a home game and a win and then going on the road and losing. Because if we could take it on the road, to me, intestinal fortitude, the ability to meet like challenges in bad environments, and for us to overcome that, for McDaniel to be in control and those. So I think 11 would be great, 11-6. You think what, 1 or 2 postseason wins is enough?
Yeah. So when I did my prediction, I did 12-5, and I see us in the divisional, and if something falls our way, AFC Championship.
I like your prediction better. I'm a Debbie Downer, dude. I'm always like, fighting my way to the top, dude. I like that. I haven't seen us go to the conference championship since 1992. It's a long time.
I know it's not likely. I mean, you have good reason to be the way you are. We all do. It's a choice. And I get it. We have no other reason to believe.
It's not that fun though.
Yeah. No, I get it. So, I mean, you have reason though. I mean, we haven't seen anything different. They have no reason. They haven't proved us wrong, and they got to do that. They got to show up and play the game and, go do that. I think a playoff win is a must, or you really start looking around at people like, hey, what's going on here?
I agree. So Mike McDaniel, he's in his 3rd season. I thought season 1, I like him. I think he's a funny guy. I think he's smart. I was very concerned. I'm old school. I used to, I went to military school. My coaches always hit me. I'm used to that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm just used to. You know what I mean? And I was very concerned about his discipline. But from year 1 to year 2, a lot of those penalties dropped, except on the offensive line. I don't blame him for that. It's just, that sometimes guys without talent do their thing. But I think he's he's trending in the right direction. Do you see anything that's happening this season that's going to be different as far as our offense? And do you think that the trend for discipline, being able not I won't say wetting the bed, but not making the right call in the right moment, you think we're going to see that? Because to me, that's one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle. He's the leader on the field. How he handles things and how he sets things up is going to filter down.
Yeah, I think I'm going to use a quote from him just the other day. I think he put it best. He's not getting any worse at his job. So I think that he's humble enough to look in the mirror and say, man, I screwed that up. And from what I can tell and what I've heard from talking to guys, like he cares a lot about players, success and putting them in the best place to be successful. Yeah. So he really holds a lot of weight on his shoulders. I've heard like he takes losing worse than anybody. It just really tears him up because he feels like he's letting 53 men down, So yeah. I think if anybody can look in the mirror and tell them, be honest with themselves and really, put their nose down and try to improve things, it's Mike. The one thing that I want to see improved that we still haven't improved on, but apparently they're working on it, is the play clock. The play clock, getting plays in. Now we hear that their language is very long. The plays are like stupid long. So you got to call it out. Then the quarterback's got to call it. Yeah. And once you get the play. So like apparently Mike's been faster with that. The Tua's been relaying the play before Mike even ends the play. So Tua's on another level. And
Mike's in his 3rd season, man. That's big for him to be in his 3rd season.
Oh, it's the same so offense. Critical. So for everyone, it's critical. Like even Tyreek had a funny story where he was like, man, I don't think people realize how much Tua does, because there's a lot of times me and Waddle don't know what we're doing. And Tua's like, man, here, go run a post, go run a slant. Like Tua is running everything. So I think year 3 is a big deal. And so yeah, even Mike McDaniel is even calling plays without a play sheet right now. So he's trying That's
cool.
Yeah, he's trying to work on his, memorizing getting his next play in order and through his head and not having to depend on a play sheet so much.
Well, I guess you can't have a talk about the Dolphins unless you end on or include somewhere along the line Tua. What do you think? All this stuff that's been brewing for years. He's no good. We know the whole floor, whatever. What do you think is this whole storm that's been wrapped around him? Where do you think it comes from? What do you you think is in it? And what do you think he's going to do this season? Not in like the, he's going to be perfect, what I'm saying, but a realistic take. And where do you think this whole, it's like this weird, I've never experienced it before, except for like the Tebow thing or something. It's just this weird thing. You're the guy, the Twitter guy. You know all the Twitter. That's where it all happens. The Twitter stuff. Come on, man. Give me the lowdown.
Here's the thing, man. It's one of those things, like you said, it doesn't really make sense. That's what I think that in itself makes Tua polarizing because he's such a reserved man.
Yeah.
He's private. He don't want his business out there. He's not out here on podcast every week. He's not. Before that, the Levitard show, he really hadn't done anything like that. It's not his thing. So I think that I really don't know where the polarizing stuff comes from. The dude really just lays low, works hard.
It's the weirdest thing.
Trying to raise a family now, and it's like, man, people love talking about him. And he's been surrounded by a lot of things, so I guess it's been an easy topic, and he does well with clicks. So I can understand why these big networks want to, jump on his back and bring Tua up because it does well. You'll blow up on Twitter. You'll have 1,000 mentions, and it does well. But
shame. It's a shame that the game of football has come down to that.
Yeah, people will literally. I'll see it, and I truly believe this. I think people will go to their computer, know how they actually feel about a game, and type something completely different with a crazy headline just because they know the check might be bigger.
Yeah.
And it's that simple.
I agree. I totally agree on that. It's the negative side of the ESPN thing.
Yeah, and you got it's more important to be a personality these days than to be like a credible reporter or have like accolades or anything else. Yep. It's more now it's about personalities, which is fine. Like it's entertaining. Like I don't mind that, but you get a lot of trash coming across, and you just got to know like what to give your time to and what not to.
How would you categorize because look, dude, you got like 30,000 Twitter X people. Followers, that's a lot of dudes, man. It's a lot of people that are paying attention. You know what I mean? Like 30,000. It's like a lot. So, like, how do you view yourself as a purveyor of information? Because you have impact. Not as much as the ghost of Adam Gase, who's Mr. like 60, 70 or something like that, but you're a big time. Look, bigger than me at my 261, I'll tell you that.
Ghost has 15,000 followers, by the way. He's half the man as me, okay?
Oh.
Anyways, no, it just so happened to build over time. I've been on Twitter for a while. I interact with a lot of people. I'm passionate about the team. I try not to put anything out there that's crazy or I can't back up. So I feel like people know it's a comfortable face. It's a familiar face, and they know that I'm not going to lead them in the wrong way, one way or the other. So I try to be level grounded. I am more hype, glass half full than glass half empty. So people might prefer that over pessimistic or whatever.
Like me, Debbie Downer.
Yeah, and there's something to that. Some people, everybody likes their information delivered a different way. And I'm pretty much, I'm always bright side of things, but I don't lie and I don't like mislead people, and I don't like try to sell you something that's not there.
I was really impressed with that comment that you made. That's why it stuck in my brain. How you said, look, we get inside information, but I'm never going to do anything for clicks. But then everyone's like, oh yeah, you're the whole crew. But then you qualified and said, hey, look, that's part of the information business. Sometimes you get it wrong, but it's never meant to be dubious. Yeah, I thought that's something you should hold on to, because to me, we're in a world with this lack of credibility, lack of character. And just in my little time in knowing you, you seem genuine. And to me, that stuck out a ton. You earned a load of respect from me. And I think that's an important thing, man. We need more of that, because there is too many. Like even with Tua, you use this. It's a human being. Tua is a human being. You use him, and he gets this weight just so you can get clicks. And it's kind of creepy, if you think about it. It's kind of so.
Grown men.
You're a good guy. You're a great show. Give us the whole soup. I'm learning how to be the salesman. I was on Dudley Do Wrong, and that guy is like the Johnny Carson of this thing. He does it so smooth. I'm like herky jerky. But it's better for you to tell us, how can we reach you, Bobby Shouse?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we would like you to subscribe to us on YouTube. So the Dive Bar podcast on YouTube, that's something that we've started the last couple months. We've been doing well. We've had a bunch of players on, I think 12 to be exact in the last 12 weeks or so. We had a couple, Cam Wolf from NFL Network, Dudley Do Wrong came on. We did a record prediction video. So we do a lot of cool stuff. We've gotten lucky and had a lot of people on and given people a vantage point that you can't see every day. You know, we like to see the human side of guys, and the guys have loved it. They love coming on. They love being able to cut up and open up and not just be asked about why did you drop that ball or how do you fit this scheme. So yeah, we might pour some bourbon, have a beer, talk about whatever. You never know what you might get. So, the Dive Bar first and foremost. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my user handle is my name on this video. So that's how you follow me on Twitter. And we're everywhere.
I'm going to repeat what we were saying in the background because I think it's really important that, football players on the Dolphins, they're like family. They come, they go. We love them. We care about them. They sit in front of that stupid microphone. They got to take all these pointed questions and they got to do coach speech, not so they don't get do something dumb. And then they're in the game or to practice and they're getting their bodies beat up. And these guys give a lot to bring us entertainment. When they go on a show, I watched them go on your show. I've watched almost all your stuff. They look relaxed. They look happy. It's a chance for them to get the shine, that limelight that they deserve without the hassle. And I think that, anybody who's watching, we don't got tons over here, so don't expect some kind of flood, gates going over there. But when you watch the players on the dive bar thing, you could see they're happy. And if you support the dive bar, you're supporting these players to get a little happy shine without a headache. And that's the thing. I think you guys are really nice guys. You see, you got a good rapport. I think you're genuine. But to me, that's the biggest part so far I got out of your channel is that good without a negative. And I think that's really valuable. 20 years. And we get a chance to support them in a thing like this where they're just having a good time. Like, hey, I'm a star. I'm not getting my brains beaten. I don't got some guy asking me questions that I know I'm going to get yelled at by my coach or another player. So please, if you're watching this show, check out the dive bar. I think it's an important thing, lucky guys with all their players coming on. But anyway, Bobby, you are definitely a cool dude. I'm very grateful to come on, and I appreciate everything. Guys, definitely support this man and his dive bar channel. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.